without taking more time. Want to give kola nut to. Please help me know where to give kola nut. The highest Nsukka man on this panel is Professor Didi Ugu on the table. No. By bet. No, it's younger than you. It's younger than you. Okay. ML. No, I will not do it. So we'll give a call out to Professor. Kakpase Didi Ugu. That's not general anu Igbo. Anara anu anaso Igbo ko na anu. Kakpa af Igbo yes, the head of department of and then incoming dean. And so we will give the former dean talking about deanship of the faculty, the Oshimili, Professor Joseph Effiong Eyo. Yeah, one will go to diaspora. Please, bro, Elijah, you take this one to the second guest speaker. Yes, tell them that this is it's a botanical thing, but we use it here. So can you take one? Okay, I know that you take one. Ofozi Abua. I didn't know from an Alpha Society for Animal and Environmental Biology. So can Anjido Funa. So nke a ga-eji wee kpezi ekpere bụ nke a. Oge nke a ga-eji kpezi ekpere. Yes.
Anyị ekele ọha na eze bịara ebe a. Asịrị anyị na ọjị anyị ga-anụ ihe ọbụla karịa Igbo. Anyị ga-eji Igbo wee kpee ekpere ọjị a. Eze Chiteoke anyị were ọjị a bịa n'iru gị. Anyị na-asị gị ka ị gọzie anyị, gọzie mmadụ niile bịara ebe a. Ọkachasị na ihe anyị kwuo maka ya wee bịa. Ma ndị si ofesi, ma ndị ga-agwa anyị okwu site n'ofesi, ma ndị si ebe dị iche iche wee bịa. Anyị na-ayọ gị nna na ihe anyị ga-eme ka mmụta ihe niile ka anyị ga-amụta tata bụrụ ihe ga-edu anyị na ndụ anyị, ihe ga-enyere anyị aka mana ebe anyị na-arụ ọrụ, ihe na-enyere anyị aka maka ihe isi na ofu ọnọdụ wee gaa n'ọnọdụ nke ọzọ. Ndị niile na-agụ akwụkwọ, ihe anyị ga-amụta tata ga-enyere anyị aka ka anyị wee nwee ike mụọ ọfụma n'akwụkwọ anyị na-agụ. Ọ ga-enyekwara University of Nigeria aka ka ndị ọchịchị university si na conference ka anyị ga-eme anyị nọ na ya tata wee gbago aha anyị wee ruo ụwa niile. Anyị tata ọjị, anyị tata ndụ, tata ọganiru, tata ịhụnanya, tata jikọta ọka ọnụ na-eme ihe, ọkachasị na university a, ọkachasị na department anyị na faculty anyị na Nigeria niile. Ihe a ka anyị kpere kwete n'imezigara anyị n'aha Jizọs Kraịst onye nwe anyị.
A round of applause for him. So if there's anything you're taking home from here, especially as regards this event that just took place, it would just be that there's usually some sort of ceremony around the breaking of the Igbo kola nut. And then secondly, that the kola nut does not understand the English language or any other language. Except which language? Except which language? The Igbo language. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to go straight to taking a welcome address by the President of Society for Animal and Environmental Biology, in the person of Venerable Professor Ikem Chris Okoye.
The chairman of this occasion and the vice chancellor of the University of Nigeria, Professor Arize Chukwu Charles Igwe, members of the Governing Council, principal officers of the university, distinguished members of Saeb National Executive and Governing Council, the keynote speaker, Dr. Elijah Oaad, and Associate Professor Int'L. Distinguished special guests of honor, distinguished his ability to communicate effectively. Talking of Dr. Elijah Oaad, we call him the prophet. And being the prophet is a major prophet, it's not just a minor prophet. The minor prophet in our midst is probably Elijah Okwono. So, major prophet, you are welcome. Thank you. Finally, may I welcome all members of Saeb and all participants to the Lions Den. May peace and love continue to reign in the Saeb family. I wish you all good participation and safe return back to your respective destinations for those who have come physically. And God's grace and mercies for those who are joining us, praying that their connection will be sustained and they will have a good time with us. Welcome to the University of Nigeria and Nsukka. Welcome to the 5th conference of the Society for Animal and Environmental Biology. Thank you, and may God bless you all.
Sure, you can do better than that. Thank you very much, Mr. President, sir, for that very rousing welcome address. And without any further delay, we'll go straight into the investiture. It's one of the key reasons, one of the key events of this program. And I would like to ask the candidate for investiture to kindly stand. Honorable Chris. Gentlemen.
Is stopped and your microphone is muted.
It's normally the occasion for the individual for investiture to have his citation be read before the actual exercise takes place. And so, permit me to take the citation for this distinguished personality in our midst. The candidate standing before you is Venerable Professor Ikem Chris Okoye. The 1st of April every year, the concept known as April Fool is observed. April Fool Games end at 12 noon when wisdom prevails. During a typical post-April Fool's Day, a certain teacher and his wife had a baby boy. That baby boy is known as Ikemefuna Christian Okoye. The subject of this citation. And you may want to find out who this Ikemefuna Christian Okoye is. He's fondly called Ike, pronounced Ike by family members, Ike by close friends, and Iko by colleagues at Zoology and Environmental Biology Department here in the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Ikem is the third child of a teacher, principal grade 1, I suppose, Mr. Christopher O. Okoye and Mrs. Mercy U. Okoye, Ni Anene. Due to the exigent 4 males and 6 females, they hail from Nanka in Anambra State. Ikem attended St. Mark's Anglican Primary School, Ubuluku, in present Delta State, and later Anglican Grammar School, Ubuluku, both of which are in the former Bendel State. And then he also attended the Bendel State University in the present Edo State of Nigeria. He has a bachelor's degree in zoology, a master's degree in entomology and parasitology at the University of Maiduguri, Borno State, Northeast Nigeria, and a Doctor of Philosophy, that's PhD, of the University of Jos, Northwest Nigeria, in the year 2002. Our candidate for investiture joined the services of the Federal Polytechnic, MUBI, in 1994 and rose to the rank of senior lecturer. He joined the services of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, as Lecturer 1 on 15th of November 2005. He was promoted to the senior lecturer rank in October 2008, and then professor effective 1st October 2014. On the home front, international high-end talent collaboration consultant, lecturer, University of Nigeria, adjunct researcher, Zhejiang Normal University, visiting lecturer at Ants College, Shanghai, and other universities, artificial intelligence and Afrocentric data inclusion advocate, African Cultural Exchange Ambassador, engaged over 10,000 Chinese children and their teachers from 33 provinces of China. Co-founder and executive secretary, Next Level Educational Foundation International. Our keynote speaker today is loaded. He's a man of international repute. He's a personality worthy of note. He's no mean fellow. I want to plead that I be permitted to mention his name. It's none other than Dr. Elijah Odi.
I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I can feel heaven in this place, and that's the sign of a victory. That's a sign of a victory. I can feel the spirit
mentioned, I didn't really think that all these things were going to be read out. Just too long for a meeting of this nature, but thank you so much, Dr. Austin. And please, let's have our seats. Thank you so much, our professors. Very grateful to have been invited to be part of this conference. My respect to my supervisor, Professor Ayo. He's my supervisor, my PhD. Yes. So, and great and deep respect to our head of department, who is seated right here, Professor C. Dinwani. Very much, much gratitude also to a venerable Professor Ikem Chris Okoye, who is the president of SAEB and reached out on this occasion. Thank you so much for the invitation. And plenty of thanks to the other leadership units within the SAEB. And thanks to Professor Pio Bachuku, who is right here with us. Really grateful to have you here with us. Gratitude to Dr. Atama, who has joined us here as we are making progress in this conversation. And I'm just going to go right away into thanking you all for coming to be part of the conversation today. And I want to mention very specifically that within a few minutes, you may be thinking about what you never knew you could think about within this year, or maybe in some years to come. It me a lot to begin to source. Okay, so usually there should be a rule. Okay, to take this down, right? Okay, so there should be a rule to understand more of it, and that's the purpose of this meeting or this particular keynote. Let's go to the next one. So artificial intelligence is moving everything about our lives very speedily in certain directions, and nobody can afford to just look away. And let me give it. Can anybody make an observation? Anybody making an observation? You can just speak out. I know this is not the way they normally do keynote speeches, but this is a special one, and we need to, but maybe you are not observing what I'm observing, but I will just tell you that actually there is somebody, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. I don't know how many people you can see. Can you see 6 people? But do you have difficulties seeing some people? And do you see some people very easily? Artificial intelligence. There are algorithms that have been used to develop the cameras, or those phones are not developed in Nigeria. It's progressive, it is cumulative, and it is irreversible. The implications are, when we say it's progressive, it means that its complexity keeps increasing over time. And it is irreversible. I use the acronym PCI. So it is progressive, it is cumulative, it is irreversible. It's always advancing, it's never at one place. A society could decide to lag behind, but other societies will not sympathetically lie. You would, and it could lead to just anything. If those who own the aircraft don't want to fly anymore, maybe people may even want to, take them out of existence or something like that. We've seen many things happen around the world. So let's see the next slide. So the implication is that we are moving forward. The world is moving forward. And we see that politicians rule for some time, for some tenor, but technology reigns forever. Artificial intelligence is the newest trend in technology, and it's unfolding very speedily. And its basic foundation lies on the concept of exposed to human intelligent activities so that they can learn from what human beings are doing and begin to do those things. And the interesting thing is that when they learn what humans are doing, they do it better than humans. Let's see the next slide. I'm just giving the background information about this, and then I will home in on shortly on what's about our topic for the day, which goes in the angle of sustainable cities, and all those hydra heads associated with them. So the development of artificial intelligence and the techniques. Let's go to the next slide. So this is the second point. And so the early research was done by these people. I think subsequently I'll be able to make, I put a lot of words on the slide so that it may be made available to people who may want to have access to it, to expose themselves and engage themselves and take responsibility for their own lives. Those who may be willing to do the hard work. It's not too tough. Of you at this point, if you are not an AI expert, what is required of you is just to expose yourself to it, get the basics, and you will begin to think. You may be able to do something with it. So I will not be going through many of the slides. We're just going to jump this place and go to the next one. And the term machine learning was coined by these people, but it's all about looking at three kinds of learning: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. Let's go to the next slide. And the two fields of AI which have become extremely important recently is the aspect of deep learning and of course the machine learning aspects. So this deep learning about it, and the implications are that right inside our brains here and now, we have all it takes to advance solutions for the problems of Africa, for the challenges of Nigeria. We have all it takes, and what we just have to do is to take responsibility to begin to think. But one thing I found is that there are many factors militating against people's willingness to think, willingness to engage. Some of them are cultural, some of them are things you've just seen in the environment. Like today, many of us came in late, and of course, they usually say that it's those who are present that get to be rebuked. But so I'm not rebuking you, but I'm just saying that we have a problem, and we will be able to solve it when we get serious to solve it. And I think what we are doing at the Organization of African Academy Doctors is that we have brought together of Africa. And recently, just about 2 months ago, we've sat down with the Commissioner for African Union that's responsible for peace and security, as well as for political affairs. And we've had deep conversations and are going to further more conversation in this regard to see what we can do, being led by the African citizens. Citizens of Africa are the ones who will solve African problems. And that is the foundation of the AU Agenda 2063, which is unfolding very speedily. Much progress is being made, but it will only be achieved if African human beings engage with the challenges we find within our systems and at least eliminate the culturally inbuilt challenges like not engaging with things seriously or taking responsibility for your own work, taking responsibility for your own success, taking responsibility for your own life to make happen what you have to make happen. And permit me to mention that those who began the process of making the change we see today in many parts of the world, think about the progress made in Africa, in America. When they made their own progress, they engaged their citizens. Their citizens were engaged to make things happen. And recently, the Biden-Harris administration have earmarked $45 billion for what they call Internet for All. Internet for All. They want to be able to make this happen, that they can provide opportunity for their citizens, even in rural areas, old people, to be able to engage with the digital economy, because that's what the world runs at this moment and can no longer keep running the normal process of digging things out from the ground, selling it and sharing the resources amongst people. That can no longer be sustainable because it's not leading us towards the realities of life that are facing us. Things are changing right before our eyes, and it's our responsibility, it's your responsibility to change along. If you decide to stand in one place and say, I'm not in this field, you are only wasting your time. Things are going to keep moving, and things will carry you along, and you will float. The dangers of this are that what happened to our forefathers when they were taken away as slaves, what happened to them will be easier to perceive, will be easier, will be a walk in the park. It will be something you will think that it's nothing compared to what will happen to our children and our grandchildren if we in this generation refuse to engage in the evolution of artificial intelligence. Companies and governments will lose. The implications are that, for example, we saw a photo But another thing that you can think about, that felt like a small thing. But think about a scenario where most of the medical equipment have become AI aided. And people are needing to be diagnosed of diseases. But because their data was not much included in the evolution of the AI, because it was not much included, they find that when they are diagnosed, bad results come back, wrong diagnosis come back, and that would imply that if they are going to be treated, they will be treated wrongly. So people are going to begin to die. Of course, companies who are making those equipment will be losing money because, as we speak right now, population is increasing in Africa but falling everywhere else. So in the years ahead, according to United Nations projections, a good percentage of the world population will be in Africa. And if that happens, and this huge percentage are those who are not included in what's happening right now, the implications are that we are all in deep trouble. We may die more easily. And of course, why are we talking about death? Because life is what every living thing wants to keep. The most important thing that every living thing wants is life. Let's see the next slide. So the most important thing, so talking about these aspects of the natural language processing, NLP, the large language models, the chat GPT, which is an example of that, the processes through which they are developed and how they run. For those who are in research, you may have read some papers relating to artificial intelligence within these realms that deals with textual data, because it's all about data. Artificial intelligence is all about data. And I'll try to move faster. So it's all about data and its place in artificial intelligence. Faster, go. So these are the 6 stages. We'll talk about data collection, data storage, data cleaning, model. So data collection could be, let's move forward. It could be active data collection. It could be passive data collection. Whatever type of data it is, textual data or structured data, let's move. So if it is active data collection, it means that some people have put in place some strategies to use to collect data for the purpose they want to use it. It could be government, it could be businesses, because they want to use it for certain things. I want to talk deeply there because we're going to have a little discussion. My friend here is going to join me shortly, and some other colleagues on the internet. I don't know if we have a way through which they can engage with us on the panel, which will happen just very shortly as we move to this one. So the data versioning, this helps to maintain, so corporate needs, talk about focus group, depending on what kind of data needs to be collected. Let's go. So passive and active. So when you talk about passive collection, that's what happens when you use Google, when you use WeChat, WhatsApp, when you use Instagram. I'm struggling to remember their names because in China, these apps are not frequently used. They're kind of closed. Yeah, so I'm trying to remember their names because I don't encounter them. But the truth is that every moment you're using these apps, what is happening is that you are actually providing some information. Every time you type a message, you are providing some information that shows how you reason, that shows the trend of your engagement, that shows everything you are doing. All the messages you are typing, they are data being generated and being stored. And when that is considered for billions of people, it's called big data, and it's, there are different ways they can be and one thing or the other. So, okay, let's go. Yeah, government, the various persons who can collect data and what they can use it for. Let's move. And we look at, for data to be fed into an AI model, it must that can be known by everybody who has done some statistics. Next slide. Comes to LLMs, that's large language models. When you get the base, which has been developed in many spaces, and it could be those that have about 7 billion parameters or whatever number of parameters it could be. Now, for you to make it to begin to behave in a certain way, you need to expose it to a specific data. A practical way we can understand it could be that when you are doing your undergraduate study, you study everything. You know a little about everything. When you do masters, you narrow down. When you do PhD, you know so much about very little. So when you are talking about fine-tuning a large language model, I think these ones, I can see your faces. They are not, these ones I'm talking something that is not, let me try to make it a little simpler. So, if you wanted to, for example, if you want the culture, I've said all this. Let's go to the next slide. It's all about efficiency. A research was done, and it was shown that for autonomous research estimates that 1.2 million people working in banking and lending will be replaced by artificial intelligence software by 2030. They are inefficient. But AI is more efficient at getting results. AI will get money that with it so that we can harness the strength of AI, and then we can spend our lives doing other more meaningful things. But my worry is that in Africa, many countries, I'm happy that the power has been stable. All this while we have been here. Let me say it low so that people over there will not, hear it. So, but I'm really okay. Say I should say slow so that they will not do something. Okay. So, but these are our challenges, because for us to be able to develop these things, we need power to be stable. You can't be doing it and power will go away, and something will happen. Okay, let's see the next slide. So, application of AI in various fields. I think now my topic is starting. Okay, so AI in various industries. So we look at AI. Go to the next slide. It's, there are various industries that are able to do that. So medical image analysis, AI in medical, CT scan and all these things. AI is advanced. The interpretation, if they have got good doctors to collect the data of what they are doing through the algorithms developed for specific medical imaging procedures, over time, the AI model that's developed for it will be able to do that without needing human intervention. And of course, in terms of interpretation, it will be extremely correct all the time. How many of the time? All the time. It's correct all the time, except it was trained to be incorrect. If it was trained to be incorrect, it will be incorrect all the time, but it will do what it was trained for. Drug discovery, we can have more crop production, and we'll have less difficulty when we talk about food security and all those things. So disease detection and all of that. Next slide. All those things are now being pushed very far with artificial intelligence. Predictive maintenance. Why are we talking all these stories? The purpose of this is that when you stand up from this place, you don't just go to your room or go to your house, go to your home, and forget about and say it is for people in artificial intelligence or for people in. So it is that we should all begin to think about it. Talk to our children, for those who have children. Talk to our grandchildren, for those who have grandchildren. Let them pick interest early in artificial intelligence. So predictive maintenance, AI monitors equipment conditions such that the equipment will not need to break down. It will be easier to detect it long before it is nearing a breakdown. And that will mean that we can continue production without difficulty. Let's go. So quality control, 100% quality control, we just get it the best. So challenges in applying AI. This is an important place. Challenges in applying AI. We have the challenges of bias and fairness. We've talked about what happened in the photo. We've talked about another thing that happens is that many times I went to a place to wash my hand which uses sensors. And I go to put my hand to wash. Everybody would usually go to do so. But I go because the skin color is different from what was used to train it. Water will not come out. Another one, there are places, there are usually cubicles where you take photos. We go to that place. This, my man, has experienced it because he was in China. And Dr. Okoro, you go into that cubicle where they take photos. You will stay there. The camera will not see you. Because the algorithm that was used to train it did not capture sufficient data if at all it captured data of people of your complexion. Why are we saying this? We need to be worried. That is where it begins. We need to first become worried. Don't be relaxed in this world. It's a dangerous world we live in. And we need to become worried and ruffled. As a result of that, we'll be able to think and begin to think out solutions for our problems. The best way to do that is also to collaborate, to work with people. And that's why I've invested a good percentage of my time and life into building collaborations across the world for the University of Nigeria and also other universities across Africa. And we hope that these things should lead to checking out the fact that will ensure that we make a difference by ourselves, not looking for anybody's support. We bring something to the table, others bring something to the table, and we get output, they get output. So environmental impact can be beautifully monitored just by developing algorithms. For those in zoology and environmental biology, or those in some other environment-related research, this is an area you could begin to think about. Can you begin to think? At this time, it may be like the black box. That's what mentioned there. It be like the black box. You're not sure of how you could even begin to think about it, but you can actually begin to think about it by just reading. Everything begins with reading. And that's what's called literature review. Okay? With that, you'll be able to open your, especially for the people who are still undergraduates or postgraduates, for our professors, of course, what they can do can be to get some of the knowledge and begin to stimulate their students, and whatever anybody can do towards bringing us out of the potential danger. What anybody can do, we just have to work quickly. Let's go to the next slide.
Firstly, I'll start with the health care sector. Now, some of us are into health. Some models are actually built from patients' record. Now, I will say that the biggest problem Africans really have, even Nigerians, are the fact that we don't have data. Some of us, when we are sick, we only know that, okay, yes, we just have to go to probably a pharmacy and take chloroquine or whatever malaria tablets. But when you get to the hospital, they tend to recognize you by your face. They'll be like, okay, you came last week, right? You're the one that came last week. Okay, this is the kind of drug I gave you last week. Now, that is data. Infrastructures, health facilities don't have data. Many hospitals don't have patient record. They only know you probably by your face, or probably when you come more frequently if you have this kind of ailments. Now, without data from infrastructures, from hospitals, from pharmacies, when you go to the pharmacy and ask, okay, can I get this particular tablet? You cannot build a model that can predict if you can fall sick in the next 3 months. Some people have repeatedly symptoms of falling sick. Probably sometimes some people have probably every 3 months they fall sick. Now these are data that you can gather by yourself. You check your body symptoms and like, okay, I have this sickness monthly, weekly, yearly, and you can predict yourself to know that, okay, probably by this time next year I'm going to have this kind of ailment, or this kind of sick illness, not really ailment, and you have yourself treated earlier before time. Now, you cannot solve or work with AI without finding a solution. There are many problems in West Africa, many problems, and many people don't know how to go about finding the solution. And AI is one tool that can help you solve many problems we have here in Nigeria. And the first step is to have the data. We as Nigerians, I would say Africans, we have that problem of not having data. Working down to businesses too. Many businesses are just concerned about the little money they make right now, and once they make that money, they are done. They don't care about furthering or expanding their business. Once they have their probably a quota, let's say they're making 100,000 naira every month, and they're fine with that 100,000 naira. Probably if they don't make up to the 100,000 naira, they are like, okay, probably they think that they were not able to get more customers. Now, when you want to solve the problem of expanding your business, you have to first of all have data. Now, data necessarily has to come into the aspect of you using your phone. Like some of us that has some little scale businesses that probably sell this and this. You can create a column. We have Microsoft Excel in our laptops. We have even with WPS on our phones, we have what we call rows and columns. You can create columns and rows of your clients. Let's say I bought meat pie from you today, 100 naira meat pie. Tomorrow I can have extra money, I buy 300 naira meat pie, and so on and so on. Now, by the time you have a collective data for probably about 3 months, you can predict when I can buy meat pie from you, when I can buy shawarma from you, and the amount I will use to buy that particular thing based on the particular data. Now, let's look at context. Let's look at like normal Nigeria settings. Even we as human beings, we have data. You see that sometimes you do something frequently and you get to do it more and more. And sometimes people mimic you because of a particular habit. And financial organizations, AI is needed with what we call chatbots. Sometimes when you have issues with banks and you are trying to call customer care, you notice that many times they are not available to pick your call. And by the time you go to social media and tag them, you get one response, and you'll be like, hey Chidima, we saw your request, we'll get back to you. Now, those particular things, it's not somebody that sat down to type that in. It's an AI chatbot that did that. And in businesses, large-scale businesses that have websites, you can bring in AI to help you. You can run a chatbot that's at a particular time when you are not available, your chatbot will help you interact with customers, and you get the same quality as you being there physically. And finally, I will touch in the area of security to your face. Now, the problem is that it still has limitation. Yeah, I know about an iPhone. A sister, my friend, her sister unlocked her phone with her face. It's under face. Now, because of the resemblance in their particular face, I don't know about twins. I've not really had that particular experiences, but I know for sure that once you have an Apple phone, it's very, very hard for another person to open your phone with the other person's face because of AI. Now, AI has enhanced security, protecting your data, and it's not really, really, really accessible by other people. And in the banking sector, you have cameras all over, and you have high level of security. That when they notice certain faces that has another problem. I will still say, sorry for interrupting, that we Nigeria in the world, when you commit a crime, they already have your data. That if they see you in another location and the camera sights you and automatically brings up with it, show more lights. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I want to just check our other panelists on the internet. Let's know if they are available. Thank you very much, Chidera. If there's a question, it will come to you. Yes. So I don't know if Brandon Cole is available. Brandon Cole is data scientist at Alibaba Group, Master of Computer Engineering from New York University, currently working on the application of large language models for enterprise workflow automation. If he is on, we can have him speak to us right now. For those who can, Brandon Cole is Chinese. So while we're waiting for Brandon, last slide, and I think we can take some questions. If anybody has questions, and we'll end it just right away. Any questions? Our AI experts should have been the ones to answer the questions now, but I will try. If they are digitized and fed into some AI algorithm system, they are digitized, the AI can then model or analyze what it has seen at that time and can put pieces of things together, also using existing data and the trend information to project or to propose what may have been at that time. And its level of certainty is always very high because it is always based on the data.
In a place like Hilltop, right, I know that Hilltop is closer to Odenigwe. With the data I have collected from Hilltop and every other places, and I have not collected from Odenigwe yet, with the data I can predict that, okay, the nature of ground in Odenigwe can actually take the particular building based on the data I've gathered from other surroundings. Is that
or will be helpful to you.
Can I go ahead with my question?
Okay. Okay, Zio. Gerard, can you hear? Gerard, can you hear us? Gerard Njuguna is from Kenya, PhD candidate, currently studying in China. Gerard, can you hear us? Can you hear us, Gerard? Can you hear us? Can you hear us, Gerard? Can you hear? Can you speak? already have data in many places. Try to bring up Brandon while I'm summarizing this. Thank you very much, Gerald. We really appreciate your input, and I hope you can hear me. Yeah. So, try to bring up Brandon.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. So let's try to bring up Brandon. So he talked about digitization. We have data already. Some time ago, I saw piles of thesis work dumped somewhere, and paper, books packed somewhere, but they could not, they were not doing anything with it. But so what we need to do next is to digitize, and we can use optical character recognition, and it's not expensive. We just need to take responsibility that we need to do it. It can be a business you can think about. Talk to some colleagues, read about it, and you can begin to do something. So Brandon, we're very much excited to see you, that you are on right now. And like I mentioned, Brandon Cole is data scientist at Alibaba Group, Master of Computer Engineering from New York University. He's currently working on the application of large language models for enterprise workflow. Alibaba, I think everybody knows about Alibaba. It's a very big company, making billions. Please, we want to ask him to talk to us about the work they are doing at Alibaba in connection to large language models and how they are optimized, so that we can also begin to think about how we can build our own systems to be able to make billions by solving our own problems. They have solved their own problems. We will solve our own problems. We'll make billions. Okay, please. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Brandon. Over to you. Brandon, the stage is yours now.
Okay, thank you, Elijah. Yeah, I just gave a short introduction to those who are online. Now, hello again to those who are offline. It's my great honor and pleasure to tell you something a little bit about what we are doing now. In our team, we are to facilitate the workflow of our colleagues. As you know, in the large companies, there are a lot of tools, a lot of documents, and usually for the new staff, but they will also get overwhelmed by the massive information. But what they need is only a small part of the tools we have developed. With large language models, we can build a system that recognize the intention of our time for the people to do more creative things, and let the machine to do the more boring or dangerous or laborious things. So large language models are the same as the machines in the first industry revolution in this way. So that's what our company is doing. So in general, the large language models can save a lot of time for the people to do more creative things. Thank you, Elijah, and thank you, my African friends.
Thank you, Brandon, for the very beautiful input made there. And he emphasized these large language models they are working on saves a lot of time for people. And like I mentioned during my presentation, the large language please check if you can see Dr. Hamza Abdullahi or Christine Mwase. Christine or Dr. Hamza Abdullahi, anybody that's on?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Christine, we can hear you, but we can't see you. Is your video on? I know it's night already. Thank you for making the sacrifice, Christine. Excellent. Excellent. Christine is from Tanzania, and she's currently a PhD candidate at Fudan University. And we're very happy to see you, Christine. Please, over to you. Just talk about your research, the deep learning at the edge, and those things about that. Please go ahead. And how it can help us in Africa. What can we do with it?
Thank you very much.
Yes, please. Go ahead, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very clearly we can hear you.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Odi, for the invitation. It's a great pleasure to be with all of you there, those who are offline as well as those who are online. My name is Christine. I'm from Tanzania, and as he said, I am studying distributed deep learning at the edge. So, if I try to make models, and even the inference is done in the cloud. So what happens is you send your data to the cloud, the training or the processing is done in the cloud, and then the feedback comes to you as a user, which is all well and good. This is how we have been making use of AI until now, and it's worked very, very going forward. There's a number of reasons why companies are now trying to shift to go beyond having AI only down in the cloud and also have it done at the edge. I'll give you a couple of examples. So one, very relevant to Africa, connectivity is a challenge in many places. If I need to be connected in order to make use of an application, to be able to use AI in critical services. How do we accommodate different scenarios that we have, the different environments that we have? It's not all of our environments that are able to always have excellent network connectivity to access the cloud. So how do we build and combines the cloud infrastructure that's very powerful together with infrastructure at the edge that will not be as powerful, but let the two work together such that we can use the cloud when there is need for the cloud or when we are able to use the cloud, and then we can switch and use the edge when we don't have access to the particular cloud. Or if you want to save on like bandwidth and things like that, because it's not everything that needs to always go to the cloud. Another example is when you have data that is private. So for instance, in healthcare, you may not necessarily want to send all of your medical data to the cloud. In finance, there are situations whereby you may not want to have the data being sent to the cloud. So in that case, a company would have edge facilities there at the edge to be able to carry out AI on the ground without having to transport that data elsewhere. So I'm trying to look in my research at how to be able to have AI be able to work on the ground. And if we're able to do that, then we can combine the two, because the cloud is much more powerful, but it's not always efficient to make use of the cloud in all circumstances. And sometimes in certain applications, you don't actually want to send your data to the cloud. So trying to combine the two is what my research is on. Thank you very much. I'm more than happy to answer questions and more than happy to work with you in this area.
Thank you very much, Christine. Please, does anybody have a question for her? She's happy to answer a question. Any question? I think I have a question. What is edge? Which place is edge?
Oh.
Which place is edge?
Okay, so there are different definitions, but let me just classify the two, cloud and edge. So the edge, I'm referring to the edge of the network. So where I'm sitting right now with my phone, this is the edge. So if I'm able to, for instance, sit with my lap, I can, write my Microsoft Word document, I store everything on my laptop, it is right here with me. The cloud, sometimes I decide to work with a service. I can work with, let's say, an office service that's provided by Google or provided by some other organization, and I store my data in their cloud. So like, let's say the Google Drive. I know my documents are safe there. If I want to access them, I just log in. Using the internet, I'm able to get access to them. They're stored somewhere in the servers of the company, and it's safe there. But I need internet to access them. The good thing is they're safe there. If something happens to my laptop, my data is going to go missing. But if I have it stored in the cloud, the good thing is I know it's safe there. So how do we now balance?
You listen to the question I asked. It may sound stupid. I ask a lot of stupid questions for me to have been able to learn what I learned. I just ask questions. And actually, I don't need to ask a person directly. I can actually go on the internet and I ask this question. So even if you don't find Christine directly, you can go on the internet and type a particular question. You will get to learn anything you want to learn. There's something Elon Musk said in one of his speeches recently, that actually school is not the ultimate anymore, because you can actually learn anything you want to learn for free once you have internet and your brain inside your head. You can learn anything. But why you need to be in school is so you can, because the society is designed to ask you for certificate when you finish. You can actually know everything, but you need to show certificate from University of Nigeria, whatever university, so that the society will open the door for you. But actually, the main learning must be done by you. So thank you so much, Christine. I don't know if anybody has a question for her. Okay. Oh, whoa. Okay, let's start from here. Question for you, Christine.
Hi, Christy. How are you? This is Dr. Joe. I'm so glad to ask you this question, and I'm happy you're here to. Yeah, you're welcome. All right. You're talking about the edge and then the cloud, and I just got worried that when you have this data on the edge, wouldn't it be limited to that particular environment or that particular company? What if I'm somewhere else and I need to access that data which I don't have in the cloud, but someone has it somewhere? Is it possible to make requests or get those kind of information that to be useful for me? That's my question.
That is an absolutely excellent question. So actually in the research that I'm doing, I'm advocating for the use of both. So let me give you an example of one of my good long-time colleagues. She's working on trying to build AI in Tanzania to be able to diagnose diseases for chickens. And farmers, so they have their chickens, they raise them, and sometimes they get sick, and if they get sick, it affects a lot of them at once. So she's trying to see how can we create AI models that will help us to be able to pick up on this before it gets serious. If we can pick up on this before it gets serious, we can meaning to do is she may not find an AI model that's already trained for that particular purpose. So if she doesn't have a model that's already trained for that particular purpose, she has to think
still online. We're getting another question for you. Do you have another question?
But to have all these records tied, you're not doing anything to defend that. And these are the challenges that we have, like we have to train AI in order to solve these prevailing challenges.
Good question. Christine, did you hear him? Christine, did you hear him? Do you hear me now? Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Hello, Christian? I'll summarize the question. Okay, I'll summarize the question. He's asking about the existing challenges on the continent of Africa, whereby we have a lot of data in hardware or hard copy, or data particularly about health-related data but not digitized. So he's talking about how do we digitize this data so that when people search on the internet, they can get also information about problems and challenges endemic within Africa, instead of getting only problems and challenges related to other parts of the world, especially Europe, the Americas, and other places, Asia, but not much about Africa, which concerns us very deeply. How do we ensure that when we search on the internet, we can also get data or information coming back to us that actually talks about what bothers us, or what matters to us, or what affects us in this part of the world? Got it? Correct. more food. Great job, Christine. Thank you so much for the beautiful response. And with that, we want to say beautiful thank you to you. And do have a wonderful night rest as you go to sleep. Thank you very much, Christine. Thank you very much. We're grateful. Yes, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, we would rather not take more questions because there are some other things on the burner which we want to go with right now. So please, ladies and gentlemen, with this, I want to say my presentation and the panel discussion and other things related that have come to an end, and we hope that the conversation will continue. Questions you have can be taken later, and we will drive it forward together. We are the ones to solve our problems, and we have what it is to solve our problems. It may be difficult, but if we choose not to solve them, then we have chosen death. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I can feel my wings riding the wind. Yeah. I see the finish line just up ahead now. And I can feel it rising deep within.
Also like to thank
And that's the sign of
other resource persons, Christine, Gerald, Brando Co, and all that. Their contributions, you would agree with me, have been very, very useful. I don't know if we can take the next keynote speaker. Okay, so she probably might be asleep or something. I understand we have like 7 hours difference between where she stays and here that we are. There are 7 hours ahead of us. So if you do the calculation, you can afford to tell what might be happening where she is at the moment. So I'd like to thank Dr. Oaad for that beautiful presentation, and every other person that contributed in any way they did. Those that asked questions, I want to believe we learned a lot from the questions asked and the various responses that were given. So have you put your hands together for yourself?
victory. That's the sign of a victory. Now I can see the distance of your journey and how you fought with all your might. You open your eyes to global warming, and through it all, you sacrificed your life. That's the sign of a victory. Yeah, yeah. That's the sign of a victory. If we believe we can achieve anything, including the impossible, this I know. So let's lift up our heads, yeah, and raise the flag, yeah, yeah. Scream like you're born to win. Now let the games begin.
Thank you so much for that music interlude. All right, we want to find out, does anyone here have a paper to present with regard to this conference? You can indicate by raising your hand and we'll give you the floor. Paper presentation. All right. In the absence of any, then we can. Okay. All right. First, I want to know how many persons would like to present. That's one. Who? You have 4 papers to present. Are you a policeman? 4 papers to present. Okay. All right. Apart from his, any other one? 4 persons. Okay. Okay, and is he doing the presentation for them or he's coordinating? He's coordinating, okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so but then we'd like to plead with the respective presenters to hang on a bit because we'd like to take a group photograph. It's a very important segment of this event. So, photographer?
Anything, including the impossible. Yes, I know.
Take the presentations.
So let's lift up our heads, yeah. Raise the flag, yeah, yeah. Scream like you're born to win. Now let the games begin. That's the sign of a victory.
Yeah. Like I said, if you would like to, if you have your presentation, your paper, you would want to, for this event, and would have you go submit that to him. All right, so
that's the sign of a victory.
There's been a change in plan, and that's to say that before the group photograph, we're going to take one presentation. We'll take a presentation before the group photograph. So I hope we can take that.
I know your eyes in the morning sun. I feel you touch me in the pouring rain. And the moment that you wander from me, I wanna feel you.
All right, ladies and
Arms
gentlemen,
again.
I think we're ready to start with the presentations. And the first presenter is Adugo M. Obioma Lemoha. Put your hands together for her.
And you come to me on a summer breeze. Keep me warm in your love. Then you softly me. And it's me.
Good day, everyone. Standing on existing protocol, my name is Adugo Mary Obioma Lemoha. Okay, and I'm here to present on the topic prevalence of malaria among children from 1 to 15 years of age at Bishop Shanahan Hospital in Nsukka, Enugu State. So the global pandemic of malaria-related deaths persists despite the fact that overall life expectancy is rising. And actually, the drive behind this research was, according to African Malaria Report, that recorded that 3,000 children die every day as a result of malaria. 3,000 African children, actually. And also, this research, and I found out that limited works have been conducted at Bishop Shanahan based on this malaria parasite within this age-related group. So the aim is just to determine the prevalence of malaria between the selected age and all the rest of. So the specific aim, now I went is to compare the prevalence of malaria between RDT and microscopy. The next one is in relation to age, and the other one is in relation to gender. Under the method and methodology, we have it that 200 respondents were chosen for this. We are chosen by a random survey method to use for this research between RDT and microscopy. Blood samples were actually collected, and they were collected by the help of qualified laboratory personnel, and the semi-structured questionnaire was developed for the purpose of this study. Diagnosis was made using RDT and microscopy, while chi-square statistic was used to analyze the data. Now, these are the results. The figure 1 showed a comparison between the prevalence of malaria parasite between rapid malaria diagnostic tests and microscopy. And if you look at the malaria from the RDT, you see that 54% positive, while microscopy is 49% when you add the malaria plus and the malaria plus plus. That's for the prevalence on percentage level. Now, this table now gave us a comparison of malaria parasite in children from 1 to 15 years of age. This is in relation to gender. If you check the RDT and microscopy, you notice that in relation to gender, the prevalence of males are 53.2%, while the prevalence of females are 55.1% under RDT. While for that of microscopy, the positive prevalence of microscopy for males are 47.7%, while that of females are 50.5%, adding the malaria plus and the malaria plus plus. Now, the next table is in relation to age. If you check very well, you also see that the positive prevalence under malaria parasite for the prevalence of malaria for 1 to 5 years of age, between the ages of 1 and 5, you notice that for that of between the ages of 1 to 5, 55.9%, that of 6 to 10, 51.5%, while that of 11 to 15 is 45.5% under RDT. While under microscopy, we have it that for ages between the ages of 1 to 5, we have it to be 52%, 6 to 10, we have it to be 45.5%, while 11 to 15, we have it to be 36.3%. Now, in a general discussion, we'll notice that the high number of malaria-positive cases may indicate limited access to healthcare facilities, diagnostic tools, or treatment options in the affected area. And also, the high prevalence rate in RDT compared to microscopy suggests that RDT may be more sensitive in detecting malaria parasites. Furthermore, it could also indicate that microscopy may be less efficacious, leading to a relative underdiagnosis and potentially inadequate test methods in the study context. Furthermore, we also have it that the higher prevalence among females, that's now in relation to gender, we noticed that the prevalence rate was more in females. This could indicate the prevalence rates among the age groups between 1 and 5 years compared to the older groups of 6 to 10 and 11 to 15 could indicate differences in exposure, immunity, or susceptibility to infection. Conclusively, from the result of the study, it may be concluded that the prevalence of malaria parasite infection was high in the study area, and the use of RDTs for diagnosis is strongly recommended at the communities and other settings where microscopic diagnosis. Also, for the ease of use of minimal training and skill requirements and cost effectiveness, RDT is recommended. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that beautiful presentation. Another round of applause for her. We're going to give opportunity for questions. While she was talking, something got to you, not too clearly, for which you would want clarification. Could you kindly raise your hand? All right, well, I can see a hand back there. That's number 2. Any other? We can take 3 questions. Yes, that's number 3. So we're going to take the questions in that order, starting with the guy back there. Don't worry, let me get the microphone to you.
Thank you very much. Many thanks for your presentation. It's quite interesting. Please, I want to get something clear from what you have given to us. You have 2 methods that you try to compare 2 methods of malaria detection.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I would like to know what informed or what is your sample size like? Do you have equal sample size for the both condition?
Okay, in total, actually, it was 200 respondents that were used to carry out the sampling, where from the frequency, we have it at 111, where like 111 and 89, that's where 111 were males and 89 were females.
Yeah, my concern from that research design is if we are trying to compare methodology, that's a different thing altogether. Because you made a conclusive statement that a particular type of method should be used for the diagnosis. If you want to make such conclusive statement, you have to make it based on reliable and well-designed research. It's the chances of having more of this being good for dictating this may be as a result of the cost of such medical treatment or diagnosis. People may tend to go for this because it's cheaper than that. And when you put into consideration, when you make a conclusion from that, you are having a bias. That's a bias. What we call point of view. Yeah. The next question that I may ask or suggestion I can make is that we can see from what you have presented that that there is a whole large data that is lying over there in the hospital that can be very essential for AI. Can you picture something from that, from what you have done?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for the suggestion.
Thank you very much.
Okay. For clarity, I want to say that it's just that she went to the hospital, Bishop Shanahan, and then a patient that responded, understand, to carry out the research. Only 200 of them responded. After that, then she used 2 methods, microscopy and RDT, rapid diagnostic test, to detect malaria from both of them. Then from there, she was able to detect that RDT is more sensitive than microscopy. That was why she, yeah.
You sounded very much like an insider into this presentation. Well, put your hands together for her.
Okay, thank you very much, our own Obioma Lemonha, for that wonderful presentation. I have 2 concerns. Number 1, you told us that life expectancy is increasing. So I don't know your source, because as at 2019, the information is that the life expectancy is rather decreasing. Then another thing is that you concluded that RDT should be used over probably the other methods, over microscopy. Now, we know that actually RDT may be more sensitive because it's just a detection of the antigen of the parasite. Even after treatment, you can detect the antigen. Now, what happens in the case? Well, we know that RDT let me go straight to it. RDT doesn't inform us about the intensity of the parasite, which usually informs the decision as to the treatment option to use. So what happens in that case? I don't know if you get the question.
Okay, I get your question, but I believe I'll adopt it in my further research works to now check, because actually this one I did it to check more on the sensitivity of RDT to with comparing RDT with microscope.
The suggestion here is that conclusion should be, or recommendation should be changed.
All right.
Instead of recommending that RDT should be used, microscopy is still the best option, because microscopy will tell you that the parasite is present. It will also inform you the intensity of the parasite. You mentioned plus. These are things that determines the kind of treatment option to be used. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. The last question for her. Oh, okay.
Thank you for the presentation and the questions. When it comes to malaria, the gold standard is microscopy. So please change that recommendation. The other one is a rapid diagnostic where there is epidemic and you need to do something fast, you use it. But the gold standard is what? Microscopy. And that is what you should recommend. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You just heard from an authority. All right, let's take the last question.
All right, thank you so much for that presentation. I think my question is just very simple. You did kind of comparison among age and also between the two different types. So I did not see where you did kind of the ones that were significant. Maybe the level of maybe comparing between this age and this, it was significant. There was a significant difference. So I didn't see any significant difference. Maybe you did not capture that. And I would also want to know what could be the reason why you had more cases among the females than the males, and you had more cases among the ages. So what could be the factors that could predispose such group to higher infection rates?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. Okay, from the study, I think that what could be the reason for having more cases in the females than the males is that females must have been more exposed to malaria. Also, they might be the ones, like the females must have been the ones due to exposure or immunity or susceptibility to infection, like I mentioned earlier. Those could be the factors that must or may have increased their prevalence rate to be more than that of the males.
All right, in the absence of any other question, I'd like you to put your hands together once again for her.
Breaking us down, yeah, when they all should let us be. We belong to you, baby.
I believe in you.
Yeah. Okay, so as we announced earlier, we're going to take the group photograph right now, and we continue with the presentations.
Every soul, you're the light in my deepest, darkest hour. You're my savior when I fall, and you may not think that I care for you when you know deep down inside I really do. Baby, you need to show how deep is your love. It's your love that it's your love.
I really mean to learn, 'cause 'cause we live in a world of fools breaking us down, yeah, when they all should let us be. We belong. Come on, let's say it one more time. Y'all help us. How deep is your love? How deep is your love? I really mean to learn.
All right, can we have everyone this way so that we can face the photographer?
Ekelebe, Mr. Champion, Ekelebe, Tim got me again, no. Ekelebe, and Bangida, Ekelebe, now Mastercraft, oh yeah, I'm a champion, oh yeah, I'm a champion. Put your hands up in the air, put your hands up in the air, put your hands up in the air for the champion. I'm born to win with a tough skin. I can't give up and I can't quit. Them push.
Behind for the group photograph. Okay. Oh, then the table. The table will be an issue.
What if I suggest we take just the two persons to be able to get that? And then after that, if every other person can join. Because if we can still take, after the first group, when we get this, we can have the numbers around here, and with a bit of it in the background. You understand? The first would have established this background.
Me down when I'm standing, yes I'm standing now, I'm flying. See, haters cannot stop me. I'm moving the speed of light. And give me and Banky, you can't even deny. All we do is win-win. No matter what comes, we still the win-win. Believe it or not, we still the lead big, making hits and we won't stop. Put your hands up in the air for the champion. I'm a champion. Oh yeah, I'm a champion. Put your hands up in the air. Put your hands up in the air. Put your hands up in the air for the
are you close by? Dr. Ebido, okay. You can bring up the other. You carry on with moderating and bring up the other people. Yes.
Are you thinking of starting a fish plant already?
Around? Emanuela? Okay. So please come up and give us your presentations. You have 5 minutes for it. Can you? Okay.
Standing on the existing protocols, my name is Agbedo Emanuela Chigozrim, and I'm here to present a study that was carried out on the intestinal and hemoparasites of squirrel of the species Epizerius ibi in Nsukka, Enugu State, Nigeria. Squirrels are found in many habitats around the world. They are found in forests, they are found in woodlands and all that. But just as there are variations in the individuals of a species, so there is with squirrel. We have tree squirrels, we have flying squirrels, and we have ground squirrels. But for the basis of this study, Epizerius ibi was used, and it's a tree squirrel. So Epizerius ibi is found in rainforest, and it is usually gray in color, and they are very active during the day. But for the basis of this study, intestinal and hemoparasites, these squirrels are usually susceptible to intestinal and hemoparasites, because most of these intestinal parasites are transmitted by ingesting food or water that is contaminated with the ova or eggs of these parasites. So these squirrels are usually found in the wild, and there at the wild you can find anything there. And most of the time they feed on the fruits or seeds that they get there in the wild, and most times they can be contaminated. So they are liable to being infected by intestinal parasites. Okay, so moving ahead, this study was carried out in Nsukka, and for the purpose of this study, 6 squirrels were used. So to carry out this okay. So to carry out this study, both fecal and blood samples were collected, since the intestinal and hemoparasites were to be assessed. So to collect fecal samples, the squirrels were widely collected with specialized traps. So for collecting the fecal sample, the squirrels were massaged by their anus, and then fecal sample was collected, and blood sample was collected from their retinal vein. After this, they were taken for analysis. For analysis, the fecal sample was subjected to flotation technique, after which were viewed under the microscope. Same thing with blood samples. Thin smears were made, and then they were viewed under the microscope to assess the hemoparasites in them. At the end of the analysis, no hemoparasite was discovered, but then intestinal parasites were gotten. About 3 of them were gotten: Taenia species, Monesa species, and Emeria oocyst. Also during the collection of samples, the morphometric data were also collected. The different parts of their body was measured. So this is a table that shows the weight and the morphometrics of the squirrel. Then I mentioned earlier that at the end of the analysis, I got to other literatures. I found out that most literatures, they were able to find intestinal parasites in most of the researches they carried out. But the one that was that could be compared to my own results is this last one, which was by Linson. He examined red squirrels and was able to find oocysts, Emeria oocysts, in about 12 of the samples he used, but didn't find any hemoparasite. And this can be compared to my own discovery. So in conclusion, I would say that this study, it highlights the significant prevalence of intestinal and hemoparasites with a notable absence of hemoparasites. So I will suggest for more research to be carried out on this study. Thank you. Yes.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. So, my question is, what's the significance of this your research work to our environment? Noting that this squirrel that you said about is not common here, and I don't think whether it's an intermediate host to any disease or causative agent. So what's the significance of your work? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that question. The essence of this study was actually to assess the zoonotic potential of this intestinal parasite. Like we know, squirrels too, they are found in the wild, and one way or the other, humans have interactions with them, like when you go to catch them to eat and all that. So by studying the intestinal parasites that are found in these squirrels, you can be able to reduce the risks of transmission of diseases from these squirrels to humans. Thank you. I don't know if I answered.
Okay, you are talking about zoonotic disease or infection, but Emeria species that you mentioned as intestinal parasites, and you talk about protozoan, and you not find hemoparasite. So I don't think whether there is any zoonotic in it. Like, I still don't get the relevance of your work. Thank you.
Okay, like I was trying to explain, I said squirrels, they are found in the wild, and how they get this intestinal parasite in them is by ingesting contaminated food or water. And one way or the other, we as humans.
Yeah, please, can I come in? Her research is of great importance because there is no clear demarcation between the environment where you can see the squirrel and where human being lives. So, and bearing in mind that they are boreal animal, they can move from one place to the another. They can have access to your food and get your food contaminated by the things we share with them. They are mammals. So the research is of importance because it gives us an overview of the parasites that this animal harbor, and it's also telling us is there a relationship between the parasite in this animal and what has been observed in man. And also, as scientists, is also adding to the already existing information. Her research have added to the existing information because someone that did a work and the work the person did, he didn't observe hemoparasites in his or her work, and in secondary, her work, she never observed such hemoparasites, and this can stand to support what the person have seen or have done before, assuming they have applied the same method in the analysis. I don't know if your question, if you are clear by now. My question comes this way. You work on squirrel and it's a mama, and did you intend to just sample, get only 6 individuals?
No, I intended to get more, just that they are easily startled by humans, so it was difficult, capturing them.
So assuming that you have the potential, you would have gotten up to 20 or 30?
Yes. I got up to 10, but then most of them, like 4 of them, died during captivity. So it was only 6 I was able to work on.
So if I may ask, do you know the conservation status of that animal?
Sorry, could you repeat your question?
Do you know the conservation status?
It's actually list rated.
It's what?
It's list rated because it's list concern.
Okay, list consign. But you have to handle it with care, because that's why you need to get. Did you obtain an ethical clearance before you conducted the research? Because you are dealing with live animal. All these things have to be stated because you are dealing with live animal, and despite the fact that did any of them die after the remaining 6 that you used? Did any of them they died?
Yes, sir.
Which means you sacrificed them.
No, no. Like I said, when I was collecting the fecal stamp, like the blood was collected from the eye, so I didn't sacrifice them. Then for the fecal sample, I just massaged them on their belly. Then
you should, in subsequent research, to have your work published in a reputable journal. We advise that you look for non-invasive method that you can use, adopt to get your samples. Non-invasive method is a method that will make the animal not to die. Sometimes you want to get, instead of doing the massaging the stomach, and in so doing, you may cause some physiological damages, and the animal will die as a result of that. There are cases that you can use saline water and pump saline water into the mouth of the animal. It will make it to excrete. You can get the excreta through that means. So there are some non-invasive method that you can use and actually get your result, and also have the animal released to the wild. And the secondary, if you have to acclimatize that animal, if you have to let the animal acclimatize to the environment, bear it in mind that some of the intestinal parasites may reduce. But as you are acclimatizing the animal and you're looking at if you want to check the intestinal parasite, I will advise you, the moment you have the animal captured, start from that time to pick the droppings, because from that point, as the dropping is going out and that animal is no longer eating what it used to eat in the wild, you have to feed it with another food that you think is okay. That food that you are feeding the animal on may get contaminated, and it may reduce the parasite load within the animal.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, I will be snappy about it. At least this is an academic gathering. We have to clarify some issues based on the question raised by the first person. Can you go back to the slide? Her slide where we have the diagram of squirrel. Is it a picture of a squirrel? Because one of the issues he raised is that, I don't know whether you said squirrel is not common. I don't know how you presented it. Okay, they are not common around here. Probably you don't know the animal we are talking about. Because the animal we are talking about, even in UNN here, we have them. In our zoological garden, there are many of them there. So I don't know why you're saying that. Anyway, why it may mean they are not domesticated, I don't know whether that's what you mean. Then talking about the relevance of the work. This is an animal. This is an organism. If you know what we call trophic relations, number one, human beings, that animal serves as food to humans. We eat them. I don't know whether you're aware or not. We eat squirrel. That's number one. Then even if we don't use them directly as food, in the trophic relations, probably other animals that we eat them. So by so doing, the parasite can move from one animal, from one organism to the other. Then another thing is that they feed on some of our fruits, something like pawpaw, something like the palm fruit. So by so doing, they contaminate what we eat also. Now, the mode of transmission or the life cycle of these intestinal parasites is usually by fecal matter. So as they release their fecal matter, the fecal matter will move out with the eggs of this parasite. By so doing, they may probably contaminate what we eat. So the significance of the work abound. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. So let's welcome the third presenter, Ifeoma Ume. Please come up for your presentation. If you want to clap, you can clap, actually.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm standing on the existing protocol. I'm here to present a review on diphtheria and public health. Okay? Diphtheria, as you see it, is a bacterial infectious disease. It's caused by a bacteria known as Corynebacterium diphtheria, and then in rare cases, Corynebacterium userian and Corynebacterium pseudotuberculosis. But then these two species, C. userian and C. pseudotuberculosis, are zoonotic species of the serum Corynebacterium, and then they can transmit this diphtheria from animal to human. So the invasive disease, including bacteremia and endocarditis, all this one has been reported for non-toxin producing strains of this C. diphtheria. Then the C. userian has become the organism commonly associated with cutaneous diphtheria. This one, cutaneous diphtheria, is just the one that causes skin lesion. Can be in the mouth or the limbs or the hand, any part of the skin. Then the C. userian reservoir is, of course, animals, but then the C. diphtheria, the reservoir is human beings. Then we have the death, of course, results from airway obstruction, myocarditis or polyneuropathy, according to WHO 2014. And it also occurs in two forms, that is respiratory diphtheria and cutaneous diphtheria. Respiratory diphtheria is the one that you will see it in the respiratory tract, like the nose and other respiratory tract. But then this cutaneous diphtheria is the ones you will see the lesions, the skin lesions of the limb of the infected individual or the animals. Then this diphtheria and public health is, of course, it's a contagious, potential life-threatening bacterial infection caused by the toxin, that is the poison, produced by the bacteria. And it is characterized by local infection of the upper respiratory tract and occasionally the skin. The systematic manifestation can affect, in particular, the heart, the kidney, and then the peripheral nerves, according to Int'L 2011. Although person-to-person spread of this toxin, C. ocera, was not dictated, it is thought that diseased animals were associated with the C. ocera's infection of patients in some cases. Diphtheria has been increasing in relevance because of the increasing individual travel, surges and mass relocation, events of refugees, asylum seekers, immigrants from countries where diphtheria remains endemic, according to WHO 2018. This important event, that is migration and all of those things, in combination with growing vaccine hesitancy in non-endemic countries, gives diphtheria a high potential for re-emerging or a re-emergence. Then toxigenic Corybacterium ocerae, an agent of diphtheria, has frequently been identified in domesticated animals such as cat, dog, pig, in which zoonotic transmission has been demonstrated according to Taylor and et al. 2010, and has been identified in wild animals such as the ferret, the boas, and the deer, according to Coty et al. 2012. And this constitutes a major public health threat. Infected individuals who develop a right-hand flosser sheath infection and symptoms of sepsis such as fever, tachycardia, elevated C-reaction protein are usually after contact with infected domestic cat, dog, and fox, according to Taylor et al. And so on. Please, next slide. Okay. Now we'll see a picture of affected palm. The first image there, labeled A, you will see the palm affected, that is in the first day of, in the time of presentation. Then the second one is just the dorsal aspect of the hand at the time of presentation. So how the dorsal view, the dorsal hand is being swollen because of the infection. Then the C part of it is just the ipsilateral forend with spreading inflammatory responses at the time of presentation. Then the image there is the palmar aspect of the hand after surgical debridement of synovial sheath neurotic tissue at 7 days after presentation. Then the last image there is just the aspect of the hand at 28 days after presentation and debridement. This is according to Coty 2011. Then we have 4 major types of diphtheria. We have, of course, classical respiratory diphtheria. These ones is affected in the respiratory tract, like the nose, the trachea, and then the lymphatic nerves. We have the laryngeal diphtheria, we have the nasal diphtheria, and then we have the cutaneous diphtheria, the one that you can see in the skin on the limb of infected individual. Then pathophysiology of the infection. Overcrowding is one of major way of transmitting this infection. Poor health, substandard living condition, large-scale population movement, incomplete immunization, immunocompromised state facilitates susceptibility to diphtheria, and all these are risk factors of the disease transmission. Another way you can get it is through domestic animals, infected, domestic animals such as cats, dog. They can serve as a reservoir. Then inadequate boosting of previously vaccinated individuals may result in increased risk of acquiring the disease from a carrier. And then local tissue destruction enable the toxin to be carried lymphatically and hematologically to other parts of the body. Please, the next slide. Let's look at the epidemiology of diphtheria. Okay, according to WHO, diphtheria remains health threat in developing nations, which Nigeria, of course, is one of them. Then the largest record was 1990 to 1995, which was recorded more than 157,000 cases. And then there are about 5,000 deaths were reported, according to Lange et al. 2018. And since then, from 2020 to 2029, according to WHO and Diphtheria Surveillance Network, the cases has reduced due to vaccination. Please, the next first. Okay, we have the outbreak in Nigeria. If you listen to news, you see that there is recent outbreak of diphtheria in this country. And it started from of course, it came 2011, and then it now re-emerged late 2022. From there till early 2023, and even up till last month and the previous month before the latter is July, August, the outbreak is still on, according to NRSC, and then WHO, and then NCDC. All right, thank you. Okay, please go to the next one. If you look at the diagram there, the map there, you see the areas affected by this diphtheria recently in this country. The ones with red are the ones that have severe cases. Then the yellow, they have mild, and then the other one, they don't have any case reported. Then it can be direct, it can be indirect. Direct through person-to-person transmission, indirect through contact with skin lesion, contaminated cloth, and all of those things. Okay, so this is one of the symptoms of diphtheria. You see the patch on the upper layer of the mouth. It's just from a gray something there. It's called a false membrane. So with this, it will lead to difficult breathing, and then difficult, which can equally lead to heart failure. Okay. Then how do we treat this? Of course, you administer antibiotic, penicillin, erythromycin. Then how do we manage this infection? The major way of managing it is through vaccination. That is the major way. So let's look at the public measure: education, surveillance, vaccination, and then research and collaboration. With all this, will help to reduce the spread and the sporadic outbreak. Thank you.
Do we have any questions? All right, please, let's clap her out. Thank you so much. Thank you. And the last person is Nodim Confidence, right? Okay, Nodim Confidence, please come.
Good day, all. Standing on the existing protocols, my name is Nodim Confidence, and I'm here to present a research topic: prevalence of soil-transmitted helmet parasites, helmet and parasitic protozoa infection among inmates in Nsukka Correctional Center. First of all, I would like to explain what this prevalence means, for the sake of some persons that are not science inclined here. Prevalence simply means the widespread of a particular disease. So what this course is all about is I researched on how protozoan parasite and helmet parasite spread among prisoners. We have about 3 classes of helmets that affect humans. We have the flatworm, that's the platyhelminth. We have the roundworms, which is the nematodes, which I'm going to talk about. Also, the protozoan that affect human beings. We have 4 classes of protozoans that affect human beings. We have the sarcodinas, we have the mastigosporas, we have the pseudophoras, and we have the sporozoa. And I'm going to be talking about 2 classes, which is the mastigophoras and as soil-transmitted helminths and protozoa infections are a group of parasitic infection caused by intestinal worms and macroscopic single-cell organisms that can affect anyone living in unsanitized condition with poor hygienic practices. Prisoners in Nsukka correctional centers are prone or are vulnerable to this infection because of the type of infection, the type of places they find themselves due to overcrowding, the practices, unhygienic practices, and all the rest of them, which could lead to them acquiring this infection. This soil-transmitted helminths can be gotten through they are nematodes, so they don't have any intermediate host for transmission. It can be gotten through contaminated water, vegetables, through person-to-person contact, and all the rest of them. The sole aim of this research is to assess the epidemiology of soil-transmitted helminths and intestinal protozoa among prisoners in Nsukka Correctional Center, and to analyze the risk factors associated with soil-transmitted and intestinal protozoa among prisoners. Materials and methods. Okay, this study was carried out in, just like I said, in Nsukka Correctional Center in this Enugu State. Go to the next one. Okay, study population. The study was carried out in Nsukka prison, which currently accommodates over 300 inmates. A total number of 90 prisoners were randomly selected irrespective of the area of the cell in the correctional center. The reason for this small number sampled was because of their inability to comply. Some of the prisoners, prisoners, they are always aggressive and all the rest of them. To convince them to actually get the sample was so difficult. That was why I worked on a small number. An ethical approval was obtained from Ministry of Health, Enugu State, because I worked on human subjects, so I had to obtain this ethical permit from them. And also the respondents was also informed about the importance of the research. Sample collection. Okay, laboratory examination of fecal sample, because I worked on the fecal matter, like on the site. So a fresh fecal sample of the inmates were examined both microscopically and macroscopically. Macroscopically, it was carried out to detect the presence of blood mucus adult worm. And in this research, 2 parasitological methods were employed, which includes direct fecal smell and formal ether concentration. Why I use this formal ether concentration was because of to preserve the presence of the parasite in the sample. That's the essence of that method. the overall prevalence, a total number of 90 prisoners were examined for gastrointestinal parasite infection. In this research, 60 persons, that is 66.7%, were infected. And all the participating prisoners were male. I did not have any female among them. So the prevalence of gastrointestinal parasite infection was high in all the 3 age group examined, but it was a little higher among those that were 25 years old or younger. Parasite species prevalence. Like I said, 2 types of parasites were considered. That's the hemoparasite and the protozoan parasites. Among the hemoparasites that were, helminth parasites that were isolated, we have Ascaris lubricoides, we have Strongyloides tecularis, we have Trichuris trichuria, we have the last one, we have hookworm, which is Necato americanus and Encyclostoma duodenella. Then coming to the protozoan parasite, we have Entamoeba histolytica and Giardia lamblia, and this is the results gotten. This overall prevalence of gastrointestinal parasite infection among prisoners. The age less than 25 years, we got 24. That's from 26 to 40. Sorry, 18. That's from 26 to 40. We had 32. That's from 40 years and above. We had 10. Then a total number of 90 samples, 90 persons were sampled. Okay, this chart is showing the upper part, the lighter part is showing the positive aspect of it, and the other parts were the people that were not infected. That is the negative and the positive aspect. Okay, this is a breakdown of how the total parasites was gotten. We have Ascaris lubricoides, we have 19. Hookworm, we had 2. Trichuris trichuria, 1. Strongyloides tecularis, 5. Entamoeba histolytica, 34. And Giardia lamblia, 8. The total number infected was 60 persons. This sample of the fertilized of Ascaris lubricoides. Go to the next. This is the larvae of Strongyloides tecularis. Next. This is the hookworm, the ova of hookworm that was gotten in the research. This is Trichuris trichuria, the ova. Next. This is Entamoeba histolytica cyst. And this is Giardia lamblia that was gotten from the research. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. In my research, I actually come across some persons that have done the carry out research in this work. Some persons were foreigners, as we can see in Sudan. Some other persons are in Nigeria. Like, we had somebody that carried out a research in Owerri prison, and Kefi also. Okay, in conclusion, this study has indicated that 66.7% of the study participants were infected with intestinal parasites. Though Entamoeba histolyticus was the predominant parasite identified among the inmates, seconded by Ascaris lubricoides. In addition, intestinal protozoa were more prevalent than intestinal helminths. This indicates poor hygiene conditions in the prison service. I will recommend that constant monitoring should be carried out, because I believe that these persons are neglected. So I would suggest that, or I recommend that more research should be done, though, but there should be constant monitoring, and also a health education, like having lectures or teaching these people about the possible ways of getting this or how to avoid contamination. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that presentation. The presentation is open for reactions. If you have a question.
Mine is not a question, it's a correction. You don't refer to persons as neglected. Please. And then the most important table, you did not show us. The one on what? The factors, risk factors. Your last table is on risk factor. You did not show us that table. So can you go back to that one?
No. He's talking about the prevalence of parasitic species, just giving the kind of percentage of how, or the intensity of.
It's a risk factor. Age. Prevalence of parasite species based on age.
Okay. Okay. This, from my research, I discovered that people from the age of 19 to 25 were actually the ones most infected in this with the parasites. The truth is that I discovered, I think age had, this parasite had to, the prevalence of these had to work in line with age factor, actually. So for my research, they yes, sir.
It's all right. Thank you very much. Prof has concluded it that age is a risk factor, a risk factor rather. Any question?
Okay, thank you for your presentation. So, I want to ask, okay, I think I have two questions. I want to ask number one, okay, what led to the choice of your study area, like compared to other areas? Then, secondly, you concluded that 66.7% of the prisoners had, you collected a small sample size, although you gave your reason. Well, I think that sample size is small for you to come to that kind of conclusion. Then, what technique do you use to count those eggs? Because you are like counting that this parasite is like, I think I saw where you mentioned it. What technique do you use to count those eggs?
Okay. Talking about what drew my attention towards choosing the topic, actually, I felt that these persons are not kind of people that you will see randomly, and they are at a particular place. So I want to actually know if truly that, since these people are at a particular place, if these parasites can also spread despite the fact they are not exposed to maybe farm work or all the rest of them. So that was what actually drew my attention towards the topic. And your question, please. The second one.
The conclusion that 60,
Okay,
is it
the
60% that
the
sample-
66%, depending on the analysis carried out in the work. Like, when calculating the analysis, you is total number of infected person over the prevalence times 100. That was how I got the 66%.
You collected a small sample size. So like, I'm just saying that you cannot just conclude from the small sample size that you collected. Yes. Then, about the egg, how did you counted those eggs? Like, what technique do you use to count those eggs?
Okay, let me comment briefly. Irrespective of the population she sampled, you must have to take the percentage. Although relatively, compared to the total number of prisoners in that correctional center, the sample may be low, but that was 60% of the total population that were infected. So you have to report. You have to report what you observed. It wasn't a mere conclusion. It's an observation. I don't know if you are following. Prof.
Please, if you sample 90 from 300, it is not low by any margin. Actually, 30%, that is statistically significant. 30% of 300 is what? Maybe 30. And this student went ahead to sample 90. You should clap for her and not tell her that it is low. For anything to be statistically significant, it must be at least 30%. So it wasn't low.
Then the last question is the technique used. Going by that technique, I think the work captured it. Let's not stress it. She used both direct smear. If you use direct smear, it will give you an insight as to whether the person is infected or not. Then, if infected, it doesn't give you the parasite count, what we call intensity. Then you go into for more ether concentration technique, of which her methodology captured it. When you do for more ether concentration technique, now you will be able to get that is the parasite load, the number of eggs in the fecal matter. That was the technique. I don't know whether.
Okay, yes, actually, what he said is true. I use normal direct smell for the first step, and then when I discovered there was presence of the parasite, I had to proceed to the next technique I use, which is formal ether concentration. That's where the intensity of those eggs present in that second thing determine the percentage of the eggs in the particular sample.
Okay, I believe you are cleared. It's remaining that of squirrel, which we shall discuss.
Okay, sorry, your presentation was really wonderful. Okay, so I have a question. Your conclusion, I don't know if it's because of the time that you rushed your conclusion, but I didn't hear you capture the part that what actually led to their having that intestinal parasite in them. I was hoping that you give an advice somewhere at the end to maybe the prisoners or the people that are taking care of them or the surrounding or something. I was hoping your conclusion would capture that.
Okay, thank you for that question. From my research, and like I said before, these parasites are gotten from contaminated water, food, vegetable, and all the rest of them. Since these people are not actually having much activities outside and they are being kind of isolated somehow, I think from the things they consume actually is what led to that high level of parasites among them. Probably they were consuming contaminated food, or the places where they are preparing what they are eating, the water they are taking, maybe they don't have access to clean waters. They could actually get it from there.
Another point of correction. Prisoners are categorized. There are some with hard labor. Those ones are highly accessible to everywhere than you. They go to people's farm to work, so it will depend on the group you sampled.
We share a link and then you can join online. Remember, we'll give you certificate. I don't know whether we'll give certificate to everybody. Some people didn't even say any word today. Are we going to give them certificate?